got it.
Here it is. Corner, Luka. Oh! Goes in. How did he do it? How did he do it? That is Luka magic. He is a special young man.
There's no question about it.
9 seconds to go. This is it. You can count it down with me. Bird inbounds. It comes to Maxwell. Max puts it on the floor. We're down to 6. Bird in the corner. Double fake. Jumper. Score!
I wanna go far, there's no stopping. I see them watching, I see them hating. One day I swear I'ma be on the station. Mama, I gotta make moves.
With no disrespect to Larry Bird himself, as a fan who never seen him play, I've always wondered how he would match up against the players of today's era. It's no secret that the NBA was a lot different back then. I mean, back in the 70s, the 80s, and even the 90s, you can just tell that the athleticism was a little different. The players' build was a little different. I mean, today you got point guards like Russell Westbrook and Derrick Rose who just look like, you know, they can possibly be on some stuff, but it's just natural because that's just how the league is right now. So with no disrespect, it's pretty easy for a 21-year-old like me who's never even seen Michael Jordan play live to say, man, those guys were mailmen. Look at their shorts. Look how bony everybody was. I mean, the competition back then was pretty much nothing. It's easy for me to say that because I've never seen it. But Larry Bird, his case is a little different. As we all know, Larry Legend wasn't really that athletic in any shape or form, but he had a very, very, very high basketball IQ and a deadly jump shot from deep that always had to keep defenders honest. That was basically his, his trademark and what made him so great. And he was so feisty because that was back in the time where like the league was kind of transitioning to where African Americans were pretty much dominating the league. And then, that was a big problem in the 70s because, it was pretty much racism and all that stuff back then. But it was turning into a more African American style league where, everybody was saying blacks play selfish and all this stuff. And no one really looked at a white guy like that. Oh, he can't jump. He can't, he can't really compete. But he kind of played with a chip on his shoulder because of that. And he was an animal. I mean, he surprised a lot of players that really didn't know how he played. I mean, when Larry Bird was in his prime, even the most athletic stars like Dominique Wilkins, Michael Jordan, etc., he often had the edge over them because in his prime, his ability to shoot and practically always be ahead of everybody, like he was always one step ahead because he just knew the right play to make. My personal favorite play that he's ever made is when he played the Pistons and everyone kind of thought the game was over. The Pistons were celebrating and he had that iconic steal. I mean, this dude was just always one step ahead. Now, as great as all of that was, for some reason, as a 21-year-old, I always kind of question if that would really transfer into today's league. Like, could Larry Bird really be a star in today's league? I mean, he wasn't that great of a dribbler. I just didn't feel like that can really transfer and all that stuff because he wasn't really athletic until I saw Luka Doncic, and he really changed my whole perspective. When you look at Luka Doncic, even when he got drafted, I was like, he's not a very opposing figure like a LeBron or Ben Simmons or Giannis Antetokounmpo, someone who can really intimidate you with just their size alone. He's just like a regular built type dude. I mean, if I look at him on the street, he looks like a regular civilian to me, but he's just such a killer on the court and he's so good. I mean, as a 19-year-old, he has such a better feel for the game than 90% of the league today, and you can just see it when he's on the court. His presence, you can tell he has the edge over practically everyone on the court. Like, no disrespect to Dennis Smith Jr., who's like athletic as hell. He can jump out the gym. He has all these crazy dunks. He has all this hops and all this stuff, and he's a very, very solid point guard. But when Doncic arrived and we got to see his game, the keys were just automatically put in his lap because this is the guy you want to build around. He has that kind of feel for the game. Always knows when to hit the big shot, never really too aggressive. Like, he never gives you that thing where he's feeling like he's almost trying to do too much. Some young players, you can just see they get into a groove and they start doing too much and, they start getting shot happy, taking terrible shots. They seem like it's getting too big for him, but he never has that. You can just tell he knows when to make the correct play. He's just showing you as a 19-year-old that he can really dominate this league. Like, he can literally dominate barely jumping, and that is extremely underrated and rare in this league. After Larry Bird left, I didn't think I would ever see anyone remotely similar to his style of dominance in today's era. I didn't think it really transferred. And when I say transfer, I mean, like, I didn't think that can actually work in today's league because they tried to call so many people Larry Bird. Wally Zerbiak, they said he was the next Larry Bird. The funniest one is Adam Morrison. He was pretty much a bust. Doug McDermott. People were saying all this stuff because they can shoot and pretty much their look. I mean, I hate to say it, but they look, they're white and all that stuff, and they can shoot, so they were calling him Larry Bird. But they always underrated one aspect, and that was Larry's feel and his basketball IQ. That's not something that all players have, and Luka Doncic clearly has that, and that's why the comparison to me is pretty accurate. To me, Larry Bird can still play in this league and still maintain those same averages and that same effect on the game. To be honest, he might even dominate more in today's era because the support of the three ball and how considerably softer the league is today. I mean, Larry Bird played in a very rough era. I mean, he played in a tough era where he pretty much had a chip on his shoulder, like I said, because he kind of had to, overcompensate for not looking like the rest of the players that were dominating, like Jordan, Dominique, Isaiah Thomas, Magic Johnson. So he just had a chip on his shoulder. So, in today's league, he might average almost 30 points with, his chip on his shoulder and how great he was. And defenses in today's era is a lot different. I was back then where, it was all man to man and all that stuff. Larry Bird playing in all these zones and all these players that don't really focus on defense. Like I said, he probably could dominate even more. And I kind of had to see Luka Doncic do it to kind of solidify for me in my mind to see, okay, this guy can really play in this league, and he probably would dominate even more if he played in today's era, because I never seen Larry Bird play. So forgive me if you're an old head and you're watching and you've been new this. But, that's the video. I think Luka Doncic is very similar to Larry Bird in a lot of ways. I'm not saying he plays exactly like him, but just his feel for his game, his IQ, knowing what to do, and not really being that athletic. I mean, that is pretty rare in today's league as someone that's like playing on the wing. As a big, okay, I can see that, but playing on the wing and not being really athletic and still being able to dominate, that's pretty rare. I mean, probably James Harden is the only one that really does that, and it's just pretty rare. So that's why I like seeing Luka play, and he's clearly the guy in Dallas as much as I like Dennis Smith Jr. If you guys like this video, I really want to hear what you guys think in the comments about this subject. If you guys like the video, leave a comment, a like, follow all of my social media sites, do all that great stuff, guys. And like I said, comment and tell me what you think about the comparison to Luka Doncic and Larry Bird. Do all that great stuff, guys. And until next time, stay tuned.